Notes for the basic lesson 7, plane figures. And it basically just focuses on this picture right here. Let's assume that these lines are parallel, and the picture typically would show that with having the same number of arrows on the lines. So this is all from geometry. When you have two parallel lines, which are the black ones, cut by a transversal, which I will make red, you got lots of different special things happening. So for example, one of the things, we're going to have what's called corresponding angles. Those are angles in the same position. So if you look at angles 3 and 7, they're in the same positions of those parallel lines. They're corresponding. Another set of corresponding angles, angles 6 and 2 are in the same spots, angles 5 and 1 are in the same spots, angles 4 and 8. There's 4 different pairs of corresponding angles. Whenever you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, every time that happens, every pair of corresponding angles are equivalent. So that means angle 3 and angle 7 are the same. Now if you combine that with another fact, which is the vertical angles, something from geometry. Vertical angles are always congruent, that's the theorem. In this picture, angles 1 and 3 are vertical angles. So if you have two lines that intersect, the two angles that are non-adjacent are called vertical angles. So we could say that angles 1 and 3 are vertical angles. And as I mentioned, every time you have vertical angles, those are always congruent to each other. Which means that angles 5 and 7 are congruent as well, because they're vertical angles. Which also makes sense because angles 1 and 5 are corresponding, and corresponding angles are congruent when you have parallel lines. Alternate interior angles, that would be like angles 3 and 5. They alternate from one side of the transversal to the other. And let me write down that pair. Angles 3 and 5. Alternate exterior angles would be like angles 4 and 6. Angles 1 and 7. They alternate from one side of the transversal to the other, and they alternate. So that's 1 and angle 7. Consecutive interior angles would be like angles 2 and 5. They're on the interior. All the angles in here are interior. These angles are exterior. And they're on the same side of the transversal, so they are consecutive interior. Some people call them same side interior, which also works. And then last we have a linear pair, which has nothing to do with parallel lines, but it happens in this picture. Two angles that are beside each other, whose non-common side forms a line, is a linear pair. So angles 1 and 4 are a linear pair, 1 and 2 are a linear pair, 2 and 3 are a linear pair, 4 and 3 are a linear pair. Same thing happens down here. 7 and 6 are a linear pair, 5 and 6 are, 5 and 8 are, and 7 and 8 are. Let me just write down one pair. Angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. Facts about linear pairs. Linear pairs are always supplementary. When you add up the angles, it always adds up to 180. So let's assume that angle 2 is different from angle 1. So from this, we could say that angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180. Since angles 2 and 4 are vertical angles, they're the same. Since angles 2 and 8 are alternate interior angles. Those are always the same. And then 8 and 6 are vertical angles. What you end up with, these 8 angles, when you're finished, you end up with 2 different size angles. Typically you have one set of small angles and one set of larger angles. So let's review this real quick. Corresponding angles, they are always going to be congruent. Alternate interior angles are always going to be congruent. Alternate exterior angles are always going to be congruent. Consecutive interior angles are always going to be supplementary, which means add to get 180. Vertical angles are always congruent, and linear pair always adds to get 180. Just a reminder, this symbol here is congruent. It's an equal sign with the squiggly on top. That means congruent, which means same size and same shape is what that means. In summary, when you have 2 lines that are parallel, those red arrows, since they both have 1, that means they're parallel. And you have a transversal. Transversal is a line that intersects them. You end up with 8 angles, 4 of which are the same. Those 4 are the same. And these 4 are the same. All the black angles are congruent. All the red angles are congruent. If you pick any pair of black and red angles together, they will always add up to be 180. That is true in every case when you have parallel lines in a transversal. Hopefully that's enough information for you to be able to successfully do exercise set 8. Pardon me. Let's make that 7.